Hi, good evening. I'm Miss Lara, and I'm glad that you science teachers were able to meet with me this afternoon because I have something very important that I would like to go over with you guys. I know maybe some of you have heard of the backward design, and there may be some that have not. So that's what I'm here for. We're going to see what it is, what it entails, and then if you have any questions, I will be able to answer any at the end of this presentation. So basically what a backward design is when you start with the end in mind. Okay, you have a goal set, and so from that point on, then you can move backwards on what process, what steps you have to get there. Okay, so the first thing that we need to do is to identify our results, our desired results. In other words, what goals, what do we want our students to know and understand and be able to do either at the end of the first 9 weeks, the second 9 weeks, third 9 weeks, fourth 9 weeks. It could be after the first semester. It could be at the end of the year. But just having that goal in mind with a designated time frame. Our next step is to determine the acceptable evidence. In other words, how will we know if the students have achieved the desired results that we had set in place, and if they met the standards? Okay, we're going to need evidence to provide that and give us some feedback, whether that was acquired or not. And our final step is going to be to plan the learning experiences. Now that we have our goal, now that we have the assessments that we're going to use, then we would plan what needs to be taught, what needs to be coached, what will teachers need to do to prepare for the students to get to the desired goal that we have in place for them. Okay, so these 3 steps are the ones that create the backwards design. All right, so now let's go back to step 1. Let's look at what our goals should be. Okay, so I went ahead and put in here the knowledge and skill statements for 7th grade science, the readiness standards, and the supporting standards. And I'm going to just, because I put them up here, I'm going to go ahead and read through them. So I'll start off with the 7.5. This is the knowledge and skill statement. It says that the student knows that interactions occur between matter and energy. 7.5a and 7.5c, these are the readiness standards. A says, recognize that radiant energy from the sun is transformed into chemical energy through the process of photosynthesis. And then C says, diagram the flow of energy through living systems, including food chains, food webs, and energy pyramids. And last but not least is our supporting standard, which is 7.5b and 7.6c. And it states, demonstrate and explain the cycling of matter within living organisms, such as decay of biomass in a compost bin. And then C says, recognize how large molecules are broken down into smaller molecules, such as carbohydrates can be broken down into sugars. Okay, so this is what we need to know at least by the end of the year. These are some of the TEKs that we have to have met. All right, so going back to step 1, what will our students need to know about matter and energy? Okay, that's a question that we as a department have to ask ourselves. What is our goal? We've already looked at the TEKs. Now let's just boil it down to more specific words, to where what is worthy of understanding. What will get them to value what they're learning? what will engage them in our learning. Okay. So the next step, step 2, how will we assess student learning? Okay, will it be through just class participation? Will it be through experimentation? Will it be through testing? Okay, how will we assess? These are just questions to keep in mind. The next question is, what material will need to be taught and coached for student learning? Okay. All right, so steps for the backward design. First, we need to specify what outcomes we want out of it. Like I mentioned earlier, what is our goal for our students? Okay, and then next step is our assessments, which there are many different types of assessments, and I will go over those with you in just a moment. And then our last step will be planned learning experiences and instruction. Okay, for in step 1, it's worth students knowing vocabulary, finding the value behind it, and being engaged in using it so that they will remember it. It is very important for us to help our students build on their prior knowledge. We can expand their vocabulary, but we can also prepare our lessons to where they find it interesting. You know, it's not just another list of vocabulary terms that they have to learn, that they need to pass for the upcoming test. No, it's more than that. It's knowing, finding out, and using, helping them to acquire interest in this. All right. So our step 2 is, how will our students understand? How will they explain, interpret, and apply the knowledge that is being acquired? How much evidence do we need to know that this is taking place? We have discussions. It could be group collaborations. It could be formal and informal assessments. They don't necessarily have to be tests or 9 weeks exams or semester exams. It can be just formal assessments. It can be informal assessments, It can be things such as pop quizzes. It can be the students self-assessing themselves. It could be group collaboration, class participation. It could be projects. We could give them options to solve real world problems, so it kind of sinks in and they can actually say, oh, well, I've seen this before, and it becomes more realistic to them. We can do research. We can be investigators and find out information. We could do written assignments. We could have class debates. Students could create prezzies and inform us of what they have learned. It could also be a PowerPoint. It could be observations. There are so many ways that we can find evidence of the desired outcome. Okay? And then we have step 3. This is where we plan how we're going to teach our students, what we're going to teach them. So planning for instruction and learning experience. I went ahead and put down once again the 7.5 knowledge and skills statements, which states the student knows that interactions occur between matter and energy. So this is something that they need to know. Okay. So if we go back to the TEKS, we have the knowledge and skills statement, we have the readiness standards, and the supporting standards. So all of that needs to fall into place when we are preparing our lessons. We also have to think about our ELPS students, which have English as a second language. Are we using visuals? Are we asking open-ended questions? Are we building on their prior knowledge? And in the lesson, they need to know about matter and its components, its interaction with energy, and how to apply it to everyday living. Some of the activities that we could plan to have for this is identify everyday things that are matter and that interact with energy. Students could create a brochure, a video, explain the interaction between matter and energy. We can use, we can collaborate with one another and decide which would be the best method to help our students to process matter and energy, that interaction. So once I finish this PowerPoint, I will give you a chance to just brainstorm, and then we'll analyze what is taken down and decide on what would be the best steps. Okay. All right. So this backwards design, it has some advantages, and this is something that I will stress over and over to you guys, and I will be monitoring to make sure that it's happening in our classrooms. One of the advantages is that we start with the end in mind, and then from that point on, we plan to reach that goal. Another advantage is that we prepare effective lessons because of this, and assessments that will help our students not just to retain the information for the test, but to retain the information for the years to come. This also helps us as teachers, like 6th, 7th, and 8th grade grades, to remain aligned, because we all have a goal in mind and we all know what we expect our students to know at the end of the year. Another advantage is that lesson planning is done after the assessments are in place. So that helps us to plan accordingly. And the next advantage that we have is that students' learning takes place from a different perspective, and it's not usually what they're used to. This is something that's going to interest them, that's going to keep them engaged, and of course it's going to require planning on our part, but it's okay, because it's worth it, because our students are going to learn from it, and they're going to have a better understanding of the material, and they are also going to be able to apply it. Okay. These are some of the websites that I used. You're welcome to go back to them in case I didn't cover enough of what the backwards design, or if you just, because this is a lot of information, you may want to just research a little more about it yourselves, or come to me after this presentation and I will answer any questions that you may have. I appreciate your time, and I wish you guys the best of this 9 weeks. And like always, come to me and let me know if you have any questions. Thank you. Have a good night.